Awesome. Good evening, everybody. It's great to see everybody out tonight. I'd like to call to order the meeting of, what's our date? March 9th at 7 p.m. I'd also like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the shared traditional lands of the Coast Salish people. Looking for approval of this evening's agenda. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Baxter. Seconded by Councillor Logan. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to public participation. Just before we do, I just have a statement that I'd like to read, just for everybody's benefit. I do understand that there has been a rumor has been circulated in the community that council will be making decisions about the Royal Beach development proposal this evening. There is no item related to Royal Beach on tonight's agenda. Council will be adopting the minutes from February 24, 2020. Adoption confirms the minutes are of an accurate record of what took place during the meeting. At that meeting, a staff report about Royal Beach was presented. Council directed staff to prepare OCP and land use bylaw amendments for review, along with reports to council providing more details about parking standards, funding allocations for Latoria South Fire Hall, and a parking terms of reference. Those reports will be presented in public meetings before council makes decisions about the Royal Beach application. A full public process, including a public hearing, is still to come from the Royal Beach development proposal. Understanding your viewpoints are important to this council. I encourage everyone to be in the know and to join the conversation. Sign up to receive Colwood meeting updates, review staff reports and city plans, and join the conversation at letstalkcolwood.ca. Saying that, I will invite those who wish to come forward. Please state your name, address for the record. If you don't, you will be on camera. We are live. If you do not wish to say your address, you can just report it to the recording secretary. I'm sorry? Oh, thank you. And sorry, John, you can stay up there. Sorry, I also do have to, Councillor Jensen just made me also say this. Yeah, made me. Yes, he made me. Members of the public will be provided an opportunity to present concerns or ask questions of council. Comments pertaining to a matter that has been the subject of a public hearing are prohibited where the bylaws related to that matter have not been presented to council for consideration or adoption. Excuse me. Mr. English?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors. Yes, there are a number of us here tonight, neighbors, friends, and members of the Royal Bay Homeowners Association. We do want to express our thoughts on what transpired at the February 24th meeting that you're going to be adopting the minutes for tonight. We have a submission to go with these remarks, so we have one for each of you. Thank you. So for the record, my name is John English. I'm at 401 Proctor Place, and I'm also one of the directors of the Royal Bay Homeowners Association. At the February 24th council meeting, Mayor Martin, Councillor Baxter, Councillor Logan, Councillor Jansen, and Councillor Parkinson voted to instruct city staff to prepare amendments to the OCP and to bylaws that would enable Seacliff to build up to 2,850 residential dwellings in the lands along the Colwood Bay seashore. This is 350% greater than the current maximum of 804 dwellings permitted under the OCP in that area. So that is a huge change from what was envisioned in the OCP. Colwood's new community-driven OCP was only finalized just in August of 2018, and the city and its citizens invested 2 years, thousands of hours of consultation, tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars in developing that OCP. That OCP was supposed to provide an update and for the overall framework for the development to guide the development of the city of Colwood, including and especially the Colwood Royal Bay seashore lands. The fundamental vision embedded in the OCP is to leverage the natural beauty of the city of Colwood and Royal Bay seashore lands to create a world-class regional destination for shopping, dining, and recreation. This was intended to help create another significant commercial area for the city in addition to Colwood Corners, because as we all know, the city of Colwood is dearly short of commercial tax revenue. And so changes that Seacliff have requested and that the mayor and the previous council members that I mentioned have instructed staff to prepare amendments to support will fill up the lands between Metchosin and Seashore with residential development. The Colwood Royal Bay Seashore lands will then only be a destination for the people that live there. The OCP vision of seeing those lands developed into a world-class, citywide regional destination for shopping, dining, and recreation will then be destroyed. If the mayor and members of the council had identified in your election platforms that you would not be supporting the city's new OCP and that you instead be supporting developer requests to radically change or destroy the OCP, there might be some justification for supporting those changes. However, many of us, including me, voted for many of you, and we have not been able to find anything in your election platforms stating that you would support these kinds of radical changes to the OCP. We would therefore respectfully request that each one of you consider the integrity of the election process and not break faith with the people who voted you into your jobs. Sincerely, thank you very much. Here's my written copy.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Okay. My name is Michael Corrigan. I live at 2768 Belmont Road in Belmont Park. I just want to say to begin with, in Canada, side neighbors are respected. The development going in beside me at 284 Belmont Road, I believe is a worst case scenario. They face 20 balconies facing directly onto my property, including these giant wraparound balconies, which are quite large, and the tenants can look down onto my property from above as well as directly into the front of my front windows. In 2018, I participated in a meeting hosted by the City of Colwood Chief Planner with the developer, where they asked me to sign a statutory right-of-way, alleviating them from having to build an access road to Gary Oak Forest that they claimed on their website, which I have here, that they're protecting. It turns out that they weren't protecting the forest. They weren't allowed to build on this forest. So I found that out later. I went ahead and I signed the agreement, alleviating them from building the road, allowing the building to be much closer to myself. And I feel like the planning department of the City of Colwood would ensure, because the density is 50-fold from an R1 to a CD10 property, they would ensure that the building somehow was acceptable for the neighbors. But that is not what has transpired there. And mainly sort of the final straw was that they built these giant wraparound balconies. It's affecting my privacy quite severely, but it's also blocking my view. On the drawings that they submitted, they were approved, those balconies don't exist. And what I want to do, essentially, I want to file a grievance against the planning department of the City of Colwood, but I also want this developer to be asked to remove those balconies and stick to their plan as to what they had approved by the City of Colwood.
Sorry, have you had any discussions with planning?
I have.
Just recently?
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
Okay. So we will follow up with you tomorrow. I don't have any comments tonight for you.
Thank you.
We can follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and Council, Colleen Brownlee, 132-3640, Propeller Place. I wasn't going to get up, but I did. I just have a question, and not necessarily one, it's not rhetorical, but it's not one that I'm expecting a response from Council on. And I need some clarification, because my understanding was when the OCP review took place, it was, the intent was, or I understood the intent to be that it would be clear and more clear as to what direction City of Colwood is going to go as far as developments are going to go forward, and that it would eliminate, to a certain degree, the innumerable variances that were requested on each development that came forward. Now, I'm not saying that development isn't good. Development with a vision, I think, is good for everybody. But there has to be a vision as to where you're going. And what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing right now is that this council, who I felt was going to move forward, is almost moving backwards. Now, we won't know that until you've dealt with the bylaws that come before you in the future. And if that is the case, it's really disappointing as a taxpayer, as a person who sat on your short-lived planning and advisory group, because I think if you hear what people have to say, I don't think everybody is wanting to say, you know, we're not in my backyard. But I think what people would prefer and what they would respect is that there is some thought given to, yes, the developers who come forward, that's a given, but are the requests and are the variances that are being asked for, are they reasonable? Do they really sit within the OCP that was a lot of time was spent on developing, that people gave time and certainly credibility to previous council and this council? Our support is there, but it's not going to be there if we feel that we're going to go backwards. And an example would have been Elevation Point, which I'm very close to, where they had 57 or 58 variances on that particular development. That's not even reasonable. It's not close to being reasonable. So I hope in your deliberations and what come forward that you really think about, what does the OCP mean? What do you, as respected elected officials representing the ratepayers of the City of Colwood, what are you looking for? And if there is a balance between housing development and commercial base, that's appropriate. I know that the mayor spoke about that during one of his platforms when they were looking for election, were being elected. I think that's appropriate. But the more we build housing, which we need, and we need a variety of housing, you need infrastructure. And your dollars and cents do not come from Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer. You have to have a balance with the commercial. And right now we're not seeing that. So I'm rambling a little bit. I want to wrap it up. But the question in my mind is, was the OCP there and did it correct what was happening in the past, which did cause some angst within the city? Or are we going through another process of, well, we've got an OCP, but we've got developers coming in and we need all these variances. We're sort of just going to go holus bolus so we can put as much building on the footprints that we have before us, for us. So please think about it. Whether you may not like what is being said, but I think it is a responsibility of any elected official to really think about where we are going in the City of Colwood. Thank you.
I'm just going to ask the audience not to either clap or boo. Just we want to be supportive of everybody, so we want to make sure everybody feels welcome to come up to the podium.
Kaiser Lane, thank you. I have more just a comment. When my husband and I bought into Royal Bay probably 15 years ago, the plan was to build a community with a variety of services and gathering places. And I think the only statement that I want to make is building a bunch of homes doesn't build community. And we need to have different kinds of services, different kinds of opportunities to meet together. And I don't think we're going to get that if you just continue to build homes. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, my name is Darrell Dramel. I've been a Colwood resident for just over 13 years now. I was in the fire service for 35 years, and a couple of items have come forward that I just wanted to not just pass on some of my knowledge. I understand that there's thought of putting a fire station in the Royal Bay area. I guess the question that I have is, it's a nice point, but how many stations are you going to locate within the municipality? Has there been thought as to the placement of the stations? Has there been thought to the actual response times from border to border? Because understanding the fire service, every minute that passes adds to a tremendous curve in fire response and certainly to the hazard and the outcome. So to that end, obviously you're going to be doing your due diligence. I would hope someone with some expertise is looking at that. You can't rely upon staff. You need to have experts look at that. That's why you have a plan. In terms of the plan that's going on in Royal Bay, when my wife and I moved here, we saw the plan that was the vision of this community. And I heard community said earlier, I lived in Esquimalt for most of my life. Esquimalt is a unique community. Some people say it's hard. Some people say it's too easy, or just a bunch of Navy and Army people and that. Well, the reality is it's got a real good feel. Colwood has that feel as well, but there's some things that are missing. When we saw the plan for Royal Bay, my wife and I said, this is really nice. It reminded me of what happened in Broadmead in Saanich, because I was part of that development and part of the fire service for that. It's a place that we could be proud of. Royal Bay was touted to be basically the uplands of the West Shore. And I thought, well, why not look at that as being proud? The density of housing in one particular area is a concern. Royal Bay, the old Royal Bay that I live in now, has one way in, one way out off of Wishart. It's a fire trap. And I've experienced that whereby people are trying to leave a neighborhood and fire vehicles are trying to get in because there's a major disaster. This is a disaster waiting to happen. I've reported it several times, but all it takes is one incident, and then next thing, it's the insurance companies that get involved in the investigations. I encourage you to make a secondary link, at least 2 ways in, up, and out of every area. In terms of the location of the fire station, I'm repeating myself, but be sure that you take in response times to that end. Now, in terms of density, I think good planning is appropriate for everything we do in life. If you don't have planning, you basically have freelancing. With freelancing can come disappointment. If I understand that the properties down by the beach are going to have somewhere around 800 homes under original plan, perhaps that's good planning. I haven't looked at it in detail, but to double it or triple it or quadruple it, I have a concern. And I guess, is there the mix that we're looking for to try to diverse the tax base within the municipality? I don't see that. So I turn it back to you. I think you need to give it a second thought, because what I see coming down the line doesn't appear to be in concert with good planning. Thank you.
So the fire station's been brought up a couple times, so let me make a couple comments about that. Number one, we clearly, the lead on the fire, on location and anything to do with fire is our fire chief. The fire chief will be making the determinations of where the best locations are to be suggesting that they need to be. I think the other thing that's really important that most people, most residents don't recognize is there's a citywide fire underwriting that we have to do. We have to provide a certain level of fire service and fire protection, or nobody within the city of Colwood would be able to buy home insurance around fire protection. And so what happens is that we are constantly hearing back from the insurance agencies, letting us know and telling us if we're underwriting the fire properly or not. And so, believe me, this is top of mind for all of us. It's something that sits on not only the fire chiefs, but it also sits on the staff's table. So they're focused on it on a fairly regular basis. And clearly we would be engaged in making sure that we're reaching people at a certain period of time. So how fast, how slow that happens. And I have a lot of faith within my fire department and the fire team to be making those determinations. So, but I do appreciate that the community is concerned about it, as council and the city is as well. We are at the 20-minute mark, and there is only 20 minutes allocated for public participation, so I am going to be moving on. And that is on to 6 presentations. This will be, oh, sorry, excuse me, where am I? What did I miss? Oh, mayor's message. Oh, geez, I got all excited and I went way past it. All right, mayor's message. A couple things. First of all, very sad news. As you probably all heard, we did have a murder that occurred in Langford. She was a Colwood resident. She was also, I am aware that one of her children do attend a local Colwood school. So clearly we're engaged that too, and it's a very sad time for our entire community in regards to that. In addition to that, I know there were at least 4 councillors who went to an event on this weekend, so I'm going to allow whichever councillor would like to speak on that event too. So who would like to, it looks like Councillor Jensen is.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Myself and Councillor Logan and Councillor Parkinson and Councillor Baxter were out helping the Green Team in Perimeter Park, which is the other side of the road from Royal Bay there. It's some nice walkways that lead from Machosen Road, Grattan Road area, the viewpoint down into Royal Bay. So we did our anti-invasive species thing with the Green Team down there, and a lot of volunteers from other communities showed up to help as well. It was like about 20, 25 of us or so, and we did a good job yarding out a bunch of broom and blackberries. So thank you to everyone who attended and all the volunteers and the Green Team. It was awesome. And there's a big pile there for
Public Works.
And thank you to Public Works for actually, I think it was Gord that took out the Colwood Biffy. It was there for everybody's relief.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to share anything under Mayor's message? Seeing none, then I am going to move on to 5.1, regular council meeting minutes of February 24th. I have a mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Jensen, seconded by Councillor Parkinson. Any errors, omissions, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? No one opposes. Moving on to 6.1. Lance Floer and Ben Mycroft from Gablecraft Homes regarding their open house number 3.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ben Mycroft from Gablecraft Homes. Our office is at 365 Latoria Boulevard. And I'm here tonight to present a summary of our 3rd open house, which was held on January 29th at Royal Bay Secondary School. This was in relation to our ongoing application for the rezoning for the Latoria South neighborhood. So this is unrelated whatsoever to Royal Beach. So those are 2 separate properties with different ownership. We represent the upland landowner, and this is the Latoria South development. Everything south of Latoria and upland of Machosen Road.
Sorry, Ben, may I interrupt for a sec? Are we supposed to see something? Is there a PowerPoint?
Oh, is it not on there? There we go. Okay, so I'll just advance the slide here. So the format of the open house was a combination of a presentation conducted by Dan Wong from Urban Systems, presenting just a presentation with a PowerPoint slide deck of our intended development plans, followed by, we had about 16 or 18 presentation boards. There were 4x3 presentation boards, and we had about 3 or 4 staff, as well as a few representatives from our land use planning consultant and our parks landscape architect. The content that was presented has been developed over the last year and a half as we've worked iteratively through staff with our own consultants in having heard previously from the public at 2 public open houses, as well as working with potential commercial operators that would want to come and become tenants in the commons. So each open house has become progressively more refined. The plans have shifted, and there was enough of a change, you know, just as far as updates and details, that we felt it was appropriate to come back for one final developer-hosted public open house. And so that's what we did. So the boards themselves presented the land use vision. They presented a parks and trails concept, also cycling connectivity plans, as well as how we'd be dealing with off-site roads and traffic, infrastructure, and all of the other details that are needed to make a development work. We communicated the built form and development intent using photographs of sort of comparable buildings. For example, we presented images of 4-story, 6-story, and other story condominium product, as well as townhouses and single-family homes. We spoke quite a bit about housing options. So we've currently been able to tackle the townhouse and single-family home market, ranging all the way from entry level all the way up to sort of high end of mid-market. And as we get into Latoria South, we do see opportunities to broaden the diversity of housing types. So that'd be everything all the way from rental apartments, condominiums, townhouses, a wider range of single-family homes, as well as mixed-use development, opportunities for employers to come, cultural institutions, and retail and commercial and other non-residential uses, including also all the way up on that housing spectrum, all the way up to congregate care, where there'd be assisted living. So at the open house, upon conclusion of viewing the boards, the public was able to complete a comment card. 46 comment cards were received. We believe we had, there was 186 registrants. We believe we had over 200 in attendance. The actual summary itself provides a very detailed breakdown of some of those comments. So there was some very specific questions asked that were refined over a year and a half worth of planning work, as well as informed by past comments from public open houses. So some very specific questions were asked. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. And folks had an opportunity both to just chat with us, as well as there was a free-form question. So some of the highlights, again, there's more in the actual summary document itself, but the majority of folks were supportive of the Commons vision expressed, including the level of density and neighborhood scale commercial center, catering to everyday needs type shops and services. There were many comments about the desire for potential amenities and services. So I think that reflects one of the comments we heard earlier, which is people don't want just more houses, they're looking for a complete community, and that's what we're proposing. The vision and density were broadly supported. The overwhelming majority of people seemed to generally support the concept. There were lots of individual specific comments. There were some concerns raised that traffic and parking ought to keep up to the density. So I think there seemed to be a general awareness that we do need, as a community with Colwood and the developer, need to work on access plans, road, DCCs, those kinds of things. Specific interest really was focused around like the grocery store and how quick it could come on, coffee shop, daycare, restaurant and a pub, pharmacy, cold beer and wine, basically everything that you'd want to be able to walk to or stop on your way home from work to get. We're not proposing anything that would be a destination retail for folks in Langford to drive to Royal Bay. What we're trying to do is serve the Royal Bay market. That seemed to resonate with people. And there's a comment here, you know, some people did respond that they'd like to make sure that there's adequate parking and that there are associated traffic improvements. There were two very specific questions that were asked. So question number one, informed by the community, the new vision for Royal Bay is a community that provides a range of housing and recreation options, excellent connectivity, an appropriately scaled commercial center with some employment, civic, and institutional uses in appropriate locations and size. The design integrates and safely connects the community through a multimodal network that includes high-quality walking and protected cycling routes. The community may not be entirely comfortable with the higher density vision expressed for the Commons in the 2018 official community plan. Does this vision of a more moderate level of density with a neighborhood scale commercial center feel right to you? So again, there was an opportunity for folks to elaborate, but there was a checkbox. So the package that you have has a lot of the elaboration. So I welcome you to look at that. The second question, again, very specific. The Commons will include a grocery store and everyday needs retail and service options at a neighborhood scale that is appropriate to service the local area but not necessarily draw traffic from the entire West Shore. Everyday needs could include a restaurant, coffee shop, fitness studio, gym, daycare, cold beer and wine, pharmacy, a bank, and potentially a few other small shops or services. How do you feel about this plan for the Commons? Again, there was additional elaboration, and there was a third question, which was just what do you think? What are your comments? And so all of those comments have been highlighted for you in the actual summary itself. And I welcome any questions that you have.
I will go to council. Councillor Parkinson.
Thank you, Ben. So you say here the majority were supportive of the Commons vision, including the level of density. As I understand it, there's a current density under existing zoning. There's a proposed OCP density number, and I believe you guys are coming in somewhere in the middle. Could you perhaps clarify those three figures for me?
Sure. I mean, it's a complex city plan and zoning environment that we're working through, and that's what we're trying to do is essentially bring the official community plan, which also contains the Royal Bay Area plan. And those are somewhat out of sync because the 2018 OCP was done more recently than the 2014 Royal Bay Area plan. And so the 2018 official community plan actually calls for quite an extensive amount of density in the Commons in the form of the Seaside Village. So the Seaside Village designation extends across the waterfront and all the way up into the Commons. The 2014 area plan was a lower density than that in the official community plan. And the other part to your question is, what is our zoning right now? The zoning for Latoria South currently calls for a combination of some residential development in the Commons, and the remainder of the lands are currently an active mine permit authorized by the province of British Columbia. So we're essentially able to conduct tree clearing, blasting, rock crushing, production of aggregate for sale off-site. So the intent right now is actually to reconcile the 2014 area plan with the 2018 official community plan, and essentially what we're saying is where the 2018 OCP said that we should really be targeting a range between 2.75 floor area ratio up to 3.5 floor area ratio. We feel that is probably a higher density than we're comfortable developing. We don't necessarily believe that the market is mature for that level of density yet. I think over the next decades, perhaps, there could be very tall towers at Royal Bay on the beach, perhaps. But for our intent, we're always anchored back to integrity to our plan. So we believe that we can execute and deliver a well-planned, comprehensively planned community, providing the parks and trails, the walking network, and a moderate level of density that would include, somewhere in the middle between the 2014 plan and the 2018 plan.
So I understand the concept. Can you not give me numbers? So you're telling me right now you're not zoned for development, you're zoned for mining on a lot of it? I would have thought there was some zoning with some figure.
Yeah, we've got some zoning on the Commons area right now. So Because the Lehigh, the mine operator, was out running an active mine while they were going through the rezoning, as you'd know, and so the Latoria South lands, a portion of them were rezoned for residential, and the remainder had official community plan designation for residential development, and the mine elected to, I believe, to keep the previous zoning to facilitate their ongoing mining efforts.
So then we have a 2014 Royal Bay plan, and that has some estimate of number of units within what is now Latoria South, is that correct?
Not specifically for Latoria South itself, but there was a density target in the 2014 area plan. And then in the OCP, again, there's a higher target.
So I think I heard the OCP was 2.75 to 3.5.
Correct.
And
in the Seaside Village, which covers the majority of the commons.
But not all of Latoria South?
Not all of Latoria South. No, the remainder of Latoria South is covered by the neighborhood designation of the official community plan, which is consistent with the density that we're asking for.
So to me, it would seem like in 2014, there was an estimate for density on that site. In the OCP in 2018, my understanding, I may be wrong, is that there was a projection for a higher density.
Correct.
And you're coming in the middle. But I guess being a numbers guy, I'd like to know what those numbers were.
Yeah, and I think we've provided, I mean, we're just here to present the consultation summary tonight, and I think we've provided some answers through staff that we hope are coming to committee of the whole in very short order with quite a lot of specifics. Okay.
I don't see anybody else, so thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
It's a council meeting. Oh, you can click. Oh, wait, come back in. Dean changed his mind.
Few things. Thank you for that. A few small things. So I appreciate the overview of some of the services that are coming. I have heard word that there's potential for a daycare operation in that neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. A fairly sizable one.
Yeah, we're very excited. I mean, we're trying to balance off. You know, we've got the market is ready to come to Royal Bay in the form of commercial and retail development. So we've got 3 large grocery stores, you know, sort of good, strong brand names that I think people would be very happy to have as their local grocery store. We have a daycare operator that would like to start as soon as they possibly can. They would do a 10,000 square foot daycare. We're still looking for a restaurant. We've got a coffee shop. We're working with a pharmacy. So we've got them. The market seems to have realized that Royal Bay is happening, that South Colwood and South Langford have started, and there's strong demand from the market to come right away. And so we're actually starting all the design work for the infrastructure while we're waiting to get through the zoning approval process. We hope to just be able to get started and deliver on some of these amenities right away.
And your timeline for, obviously you know, because we've heard it in this chamber numerous times, that the community is interested in these amenities as soon as possible. And maybe talk about your timeline a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the process that we're in right now, we started, you know, really in late 2018. We made a formal rezoning application in the early part of 2019. So we've been working with staff to make sure that we get it right. We've been consulting with the public through our open houses and also sounding out the market to make sure we're at the right balance. So the good news, I think, from our perspective is that we think we're getting very close. We expect that staff will be in a position to forward us to the committee of the whole process fairly quickly. It's our hope that so long as this council is liking what they see, that we could move forward to the council process where you would deliberate on the zoning bylaws themselves. We would hope that could start as soon as April, and that's the date that we're shooting towards in consultation with staff. We could potentially be zoning adopted by June. It's probably a bit aggressive, but that's, you know, we could get there based on the schedule in front of us. And if the moment we have our zoning, like I said, we're actually already taking the risk. We're doing a lot of the civil engineering design for the roadways, for the parks, for the stormwater. We're hoping that we can have 6 months of work behind us already when we're at the starting line. And assuming that our zoning can be adopted this summer, we would have the grocery store doors open in 2022, along with the first phase of retail commercial. And that would be our first phase along with the elementary school.
That's great. And the just a comment more so than anything else, because I know it doesn't pertain to the commercial development so much, but there's been much discussion at this council table about the need for market rentals and various social housing, and I think there's a unique opportunity there for families of lesser means, perhaps, that has everything right there, from a daycare to an elementary school to a secondary school, and I think it's ripe for these types of opportunities.
Yeah, I think we really are realizing there's an opportunity. It's rare that, especially in Victoria, where I've been for most of my life, to have this much land available to be part of a master plan community where you can actually plan for the full range of housing options, from probably some amount of affordable rental all the way up through market condo, market housing, all the way through to congregate care, assisted living, where people are going to work there, and you've got folks living there and family visiting, but sort of end of life care type of facility. So we would like to, and in fact we've been in discussions with a range of different operators, government operators for assisted living. We're willing to consider and interested in some amount of affordable housing, and we believe that it's all important as part of that complete community that would go along with the transit exchange and all the good connectivity.
That's great. And just one final thought, Your Worship, but I am interested in hearing about some of the OCP applications here from staff. As far as my understanding is, the amendments that are needed to the OCP are really more some of the language that's used pertaining to the land use. They're not wholesale changes. The document isn't being discarded or meddled with in some significant form, but really it's housekeeping kind of stuff. Is that accurate?
That's correct. On the 16th, we're planning on bringing forward the report to Council and Committee for their consideration to start moving along the bylaw adoption. And in that report will be a step-by-step process on what's being amended and what not. This most significant portion of the OCP that's being amended is the design guidelines associated with it, which deals with the built form interface and what we consider transition zones. Zones between the commons and the residential, and how properties stitch together across that commercial intent of land.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, then we will move on to bylaws. 7.1, bylaw number 1799, Main Sewer LSA Enlargement 3241 Wishart Road, final reading. Who's final? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Logan, seconded by Councillor Kobayashi. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaw number 1800, Colwood West Sewer LAS Enlargement 3241 Wishart Road. Moved by Councillor Jensen, seconded by Councillor Baxter. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaw number 1801, Colwood Main LAS Enlargement 616 Hallsor Drive, final reading. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kobayashi, seconded by Councillor Baxter. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7.4, bylaw number 1802, Colwood Center Sewer LAS Enlargement 616 Hallsor, final reading. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Baxter, seconded by Councillor Logan. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7.5, bylaw number 1803, Colwood Main LAS 657 Cairndale Road. First, second, and third readings. We'll stay with the same mover and seconders. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Baxter, seconded by Councillor Jensen. On introduction, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On second, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On third, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7.6, bylaw number 1804, Colwood West Sewer LAS Enlargement 657 Cairndale Road. First, second, third readings. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Logan. Second by Councillor Jensen. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On second reading, discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On third, discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7.7, bylaw number 1805, main sewer LAS enlargement 3223 Wishart Road. First, second, and third readings. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Baxter, second by Councillor Kobayashi. On first, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On second, discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On third, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7.8, bylaw number 1806, Colwood West Sewer LAS enlargement 3223 Wishart Road. First, second, and third readings. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kobayashi, second by Councillor Jensen. On first, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On second, discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On third, discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There is no in camera this evening. Do I have? Oh, sorry. Just before, is there any in camera from last week that I need to release? No, there isn't. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. That's only committee of the whole. We don't do that in committee. We don't do that in council. I saw it was Mr. English. He'd already spoken today. So, motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Day opposes. Yeah, and if